Joining me here today is Mike Badger, and Mike represents the American Pastured Poultry Producers Association. Mike, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Thanks, Dion. How are you?
Awesome, thank you. How's the show running for you?
Good. A lot of great people coming by, asking a lot of poultry questions, so that's what we like.
Yeah, that's exactly it. The MOSA show is a great place to have people come up to your booth, have you answer questions, things of that nature. Mike, one real specific question.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about APPPA.
Sure. So APPPA has one mission, really, and that is to educate and promote pastured poultry among producers. So producers being people who raise the pastured poultry for profit. You know, they're going to sell into markets, they're going to sell it on farmers markets, wholesale to restaurants, and we provide newsletters throughout the year. We provide discussion forums. Pretty much anything that we can do to put information in the hands of our producers so that they can be successful and see what's happening across the country with other producers. And
that's great.
That's where we ground ourselves.
That is great. Now, you know, the interesting thing about grounding and the interesting thing when you mention poultry is that pastured is different than other types of growing, I would imagine. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is absolutely correct. One of the things that I like to one of my little soapbox items is the difference between pastured versus free range. I like to say we don't do free range chicken because when you think about what a free range chicken is, you don't know. It could have access to the outdoors, for example, but it may never see grass.
Oh.
So more and more consumers are actually asking for pastured poultry. And pastured poultry implies a rotation. You're rotating your birds on fresh green grass often. Sometimes that's daily and sometimes that's weekly.
Okay.
But it's that managed rotation of your birds.
I see. So the question arises then, the difference between pastured poultry and a free range bird. I'd like to explore that a little bit more. Because I know that when we're in the store, my wife and I, when we're in the store and we're looking at different types of chicken to buy, organic of course, you see a little thing that says free range. Is there the pastured certification that's on poultry as well? And if so, could you tell us a little bit about the differences between the free range and the pastured poultry?
Well, so first, APPPA, there is no pastured poultry certification or label per se. As an organization, this has popped up from time to time over the 17-year lifespan of our group, and every time it's
17 years.
Since '97. So hopefully I have my math right there. I raise chickens. I don't count. Free range is the popular notion of birds running around on grass, being outside in that environment. But in reality, free range is a USDA regulated term that really just means that the birds are not raised in cages. So they have access to the outdoors. It's kind of like you might see a big barn that's an organic confined operation. Those birds have access to the outdoors. There's no implication of pasture. That's not guaranteed. With a pastured model, our birds live a majority of their life on pasture. That's one of the guiding principles. Usually a broiler is out on pasture at 3 weeks, and they're processed at 8, 10, 12 weeks of age. So they live all of their life almost on pasture.
And that's on pasture. Is there a difference in when they are put out with the free range, or is it pretty much the same time frame?
Yeah, the free range doesn't really have a time frame. They may never see grass. A free range bird you buy at the supermarket, there's no guarantee that bird was ever reared on grass.
Wow.
Or ever grazed an insect. That's the problem we have as producers is our customers often identify and want free range. What they really want is pastured.
Right.
They're calling it free range, and some of our production models, to complicate the issue, actually mimic a free range. But it's typically they have a fence around them and that whole system gets moved.
That's the free range.
The day, we call it a day range, but okay. So the pasture in general is a managed rotation. So they're in this spot today.
Right.
Tomorrow they're over here.
That's on pasture.
On pasture, yeah. Yep.
And each pasture that they have,
right,
you're rotating them on a day-to-day basis. So for almost rejuvenation purposes of the pasture.
Yeah. So one of the methods is the daily move method, pioneered by Joel Salatin. These 10 by 12 shelters that get moved every day, and when you put broilers in there, they they drop this really concentrated amount of manure in the area that they're in. So you want to get them out of that manure often, typically daily, because they're going to, that pasture then where they're at is going to rejuvenate and be healthy, but you don't want to let the birds there too long or it will burn out the pasture, build up pathogens and cause an actual disease issue. So part of, which leads into one of the other important things about pastured poultry is the way we handle disease and health of our birds is to rotate those birds on fresh green grass often. That's because we don't feed antibiotics. Typically, we don't feed the coccidiostats that some folks might feed. Our members generally promote a chemical-free and a medicine-free feed.
Sure.
And cleanliness and production is how we manage the disease life cycle.
That's incredible. With handling disease, the disease life cycle, things of that nature. It sounds like raising pastured poultry is not only something that can be accomplished by accomplished farmers, but also by new and beginning farmers. Would you say that's an accurate statement?
Yeah, and sometimes you might refer to it as the gateway livestock.
Gateway livestock.
it's that because if you think about what happens with poultry, you have a Cornish cross, for example, 8 weeks from the time it is born until the time it can be harvested for market. You might go with a slower growing hybrid of a Freedom Ranger. That's about 12 weeks tops. So you think about the time in there, that's really great for people who are strapped. Maybe with the cash flow, you get the birds in, you get them fed, you get them out, and you turn them over and get your money back out in 8 to 12 weeks, and that's an attractive way to get started.
That does sound attractive. And again, our mission, guys, just to remind you, our mission with Organic Producer is to not only promote ways of farming, different farming methodologies for existing farmers, but more importantly, to bring in new agriculturalists, new young agriculturalists. And it sounds that pasture poultry farming is something that could really be embraced by the younger generation because of those. Mike, would you say that statement, young farmers getting into the pastured poultry, is something that would be concrete, would help farmers understand the life cycle of farming?
Absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. So how would APPPA help some of these newer farmers or even seasoned farmers that don't farm poultry? How does APPPA come in to help us?
Okay, so one of the ways that APPPA supports young farmers in particular is just by the wealth of resources, education that we provide. 6 times a year, we're producing a 24-page newsletter that's only pastured poultry content. And it may be eggs, sometimes it may be broilers, it may be turkeys, guineas, ducks, we cover it all. And we cover everything that a producer will have to deal with from the kind of the brooder all the way down to the plate to that, because most of our members direct market. They're going out and they're finding their own market at the farmer's market. Mm-hmm. They're contacting chefs. So that's a lot of skill sets to be able to manage under one person or one family. So we try as much as possible to cover all of that stuff.
What about the retail chain? Do you help farmers, new and accomplished farmers, get into the retail chain?
That's a issue that's coming to light more and more every day, as one of the challenges that we have is getting enough product into that retail chain. Sure. So we see more and more distributors popping up looking for growers. And what they do is they come to APPPA and they say, hey, I'm in northern Minnesota, I'm looking for egg contractors because I can sell the eggs, but I don't necessarily grow them well. So they're looking to compile the resources so they have a network of growers that they can sell. So I get a lot of those questions on a daily basis, and they come right back out to our membership, whether it's via our listserv or whether it's our newsletter. I publish them as I get them for the benefit of our members to take advantage of.
Mike, in closing here, on the question side of things, because we are committed again, and I can't put enough emphasis on this. We're committed to young farmers, beginning farmers. Could you give a message to our beginning farmers about how to start, how to go about to start, and any good advice you would have for them to please consider pastured poultry?
Oh yeah, let me see. So,
That's a bunch.
One of the things that I would say is start small. Do that trial batch. Whether small is a relative term, maybe 50, maybe 100, but start with some kind of small batch that you can understand the processes. Maybe do some trial sales so you can understand the sales process. Read. Adapt the methods that you read. Joining networking groups, joining an association like APPPA is definitely an ongoing investment in your education.
There must be a wealth of information on the site for new and beginning farmers?
There is, exactly. All we do is produce information. We have field days coming up in 2014. We have throughout the country. We'll be in Arkansas, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Washington State are some of the ones that we have confirmed right now. And one of the other interesting things I would like to mention for beginning farmers is over the last several years, APPPA has offered a $500 cash scholarship, we call it. Oh. So all we ask people to do when we put out the call is send us an idea of a proposal of how you're going to use that money. Are you going to educate somebody? You're going to bring a group together for a field day? Or do you want to go and learn something that then you can come back and share with the rest of us? And last year we gave 2 awards out. We gave a producer out in Idaho to kind of hold a field day in her area because she thought there was a need for the networking component there. And we gave one to the Cornell Small Animal Farm Group to hold a field day in southern New York.
So not only is it proven that that you guys are out there educating, but also besides educating, it seems like APPPA actually lends a helping hand, contributes an actual helping hand to new farmers and young farmers. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. See, so wow, that is to me, as an organic farmer myself, not only does that give me the desire to want to get more involved with pastured poultry, because we do actually have chickens over at Organic Producer, and I think we've got about 24 of them as of right now. And just knowing this information that you've been able to give to us, it really makes a lot of sense as to how we need to sort of explore pastured poultry. Now, because I'm going to start exploring, I'm going to give you guys an idea how to explore. Mike, if you could tell us how to reach you, how to use the site, that would be great.
Sure. So I'm available. APPPA is available through appa.org, and that's APPPA.org. There's 3 P's in there. It's a full house, 2 A's, 3 P's. And that has all of our contact information, 800 number, email address. I answer every contact information you could possibly find for APPPA.
That's great.
So it comes to me. Sometimes you have to leave a message, but I do return them.
That's great.
And
Wonderful. Mike, I appreciate this time that you had with us today, and we'll be keeping in touch.
Awesome.
And also, I just want to mention, watch Mike and watch APPPA on organicproducermag.com because he is going to be an integral part, along with APPPA, in this 3-part editorial that we're going to be writing. So stay tuned, folks. And Mike, thanks again.
Awesome. Thanks, Dion.
All right, take care.
Appreciate it.